Hey guys, doing good afternoon. Sunday, 5:50. Little late. Beautiful day though. I'm gonna be switching up from Saturdays till Sundays. Um, Saturday's pretty jam packed. I'm doing a lot of stuff, helping out a lot of people. So reading, typing, going over what I'm gonna go over today. So Sundays is really roughly around this time, between 5, 6, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. So that way maybe start off people's week right, or start off on a good note, go to bed on a good note, some food for thought. Welcome to Code 4 Recovery, where we all talk about recovery, different things we encounter, um, topics, just open forum, open chat, open discussion, whatever, however you want to view it. So again, if you have ideas or remarks, you know, questions, anything, feel free, and we'll all tackle this together. Remember, this is open, and hoping that slowly and surely it trickles out. So what we're going to talk about, as I have here, is throughout the week I do go to group, and with a group of guys, AA as well. I do both, um, and we do talk about certain things. And like group, we sort of navigate to. We start off on one topic, but then we navigate, and within minutes of what's the common fact that we all have are encountering. And what I noticed this week, slowing it down, and we're going to talk about different approaches, is opinions. And so, one of the things that we discovered, or that I read about, I'm always reading and researching and watching things, um, is as a recovering alcoholic or recovering addict, we lose scope of our self concept, and we'll dive all into that later down the road. Um, there's a lot that we're going to start breaking through on different things. So that way, bring self awareness to ourselves. You know, we have very horrible self concepts of ourselves. Our self esteem is down the tube, and our self confidence is shattered. And if you're a recovering alcoholic and you're back up here, remember how you were once when you were coming out of rehab recovery or going into it. You're what led up to drinking. And again, this goes into the four W's we're covering. I didn't forget. And if you take a step back and you think, those were all affected. We lost everything, self concept, self esteem, self confidence, as we became an addict or an alcoholic, or however you want to view it. And we had none coming into rehab, which when we lose all of that, we don't have none of that. We don't know how to get it back. You have a very high chance of relapse. Think of dynamite or nitroglycerin. One small thing sets it off. Boom. And you got to look at your rehab and recovery like that. One small thing, boom, could set you back into relapse. And the thing that I noticed is, as we're coming out, a lot of society has opinions. Um, Now, take me a second. We're going to go into the difference really quick. I got my trusty dictionary right here, and I always look stuff up, and I forgot to write this down, so please forgive me for a second. And hold on, almost there, typing it in right now. Bear with me. All right, so what we're going to target is opinions today. Excuse me, allergies are also going crazy. Um, People misconstrue in society and a lot of stuff. The difference of an opinion and a compliment. We're not going to go into criticism or constructive criticism. That's another topic. Um, there is a difference between the two, and a lot of people, they will manipulate the two to throw us off. Um, Opinions are very. Let me get it right here. I wrote down a lot. So, an opinion is an attitude, an individual's attitude, belief, or judgment. It's something based upon their perspective, their feelings, and their beliefs. and it's not factual. It's an emotional based statement. And you see a lot of it. And what's sad, and we're going to dive not into it, but we're going to see how opinions affect just even the common person who is not an alcoholic. It hasn't, it just affects us even more. Um, Opinions are not factual. They are, if you look, they are just formed from an individual's perspective and views. You know, in my opinion, you hear this. In my opinion, well, you know, you're this, you're that, and it's just attack you. There's nothing positive about an opinion, and then people try to paint them as saying, "Oh, we're giving you a compliment." No, we're not. They are attacking people. People who are very opinionated are attacking, and it is a sign of distress. They're angry, they're upset, and it can bring us down. It can throw us into a relapse. You know, there's nothing factual based on an opinion. A compliment, on the other hand, well, let me take a step back. An opinion will destroy your self esteem, your concept, and your confidence. It'll just shatter them. And we're in that budding stage of coming out of rehab and going into recovery. And I'm not saying for people to hold our hands, but also you got to develop a strength and a resilience and a perseverance to combat. And we're going to go into that. A compliment is a form of positive, remember this, the key word, a form of positive social interaction that expresses admiration, respect, or appreciation for someone else's qualities or achievements, fostering positive emotions and strengthening relationships. Again, the key word, positive. It's fact. And just think of this. When you're doing well, when we're all doing well, we're sober here, we're going to our meetings, we're following the steps. If you follow the steps or you're following the 4W, which we'll get into next two, and you start seeing changes in yourself, remember that pond effect from what I explained. It starts from here. You're not going to get complimented immediately. It's going to take a time. The minute you start that seed of positivity in that pond, the ripple effect, things change in a positive manner. And compliment is something like this. Man, you're sober 8 months, or you're doing phenomenal, man. I admire you. You're resilient. There's a difference in the tone and how we carry ourselves, or how the person giving a compliment carries themselves when they're giving it. They're open. Look at the hands, man. Actions match the words. Opinions, a lot of them, they're more aggressive. They're in your face, or they're crossed arms like this. You know, so body language also goes in with what's being said and done. And opinions, a majority of them, I will say, if not all of them, are negative. And coming into rehab, from rehab to recovery, and that's a problem I have with a lot of recovery centers, is they don't. There's so much that they got to cover in such a little amount of time. It is hard to cover everything, and that's why we have this channel. Um, but teaching the importance between a compliment and an opinion, and your self concept, your self esteem, and your confidence is, I feel, is a very important stone, a pillar, however you want to view it, for our recovery. Remember, I look at it as we are new. We are baby new, child growing new, where we have to develop that confidence and that self esteem and that structure. We are starting over in our lives. We just destroyed everything. That chapter's done. Now we're starting back over. So opinions, remember, anything where people are attacking and not, we'll cover that in criticism next time. You'll know. But that always leads with, well, my opinion. Notice the tone of my voice. My opinion in the face. Hear it when you start talking to people. Pay attention. My opinion is this. Well, your opinion, and that's how you got to view it. Opinions are nothing. So there's a quote by Epictetus. And we're going to say this, women, please forgive us. This was back 2,000 years ago. Men are men are disturbed not by things, but by the view in which they take them. So if you want to throw, remember, this was 2,000 years ago in a male dominant society. All right. So please, if you're a female watching this, forgive me. I'm not the one who wrote it. I'm just repeating it. Um, so again, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view in which they take them. So coming a sober person would be able to understand that and be like, yeah, a recovering person, an alcoholic in recovery status and rehabbing, and however you, wherever you are, we may not even understand where that's coming from. So again, when we destroyed our mind with all the alcohol or the drugs we took, we just squashed that. So we're rethinking. We got to challenge our thought process. Remember, we're healing our mind, our body, and our soul or our spirit. But with this, we're talking about thought. So this goes into here. This is what it means basically. I wrote it down in my sloppy writing. We choose on how we perceive things, opinions. We choose how to perceive those or how to take those. Where does this go into? Again, there's a lot that Stoicism contributes that we could pull from and apply that I wish in rehab centers they would apply more. It's called dichotomy of control. Dichotomy of control, in a nutshell, as you heard me say this over and over, is we have control over our internal and not our external. Meaning we have control over our thoughts, our responses, our reactions, our beliefs, our emotions, how we view things. We have control over that. We don't have control over the external factors of what other people's thoughts, beliefs, da 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 da. Think of the reverse effect. We don't have control over them. Um, we have no control over them just as much as we have control over the weather. So we got to start understanding and that's the first step if you really want to understand. Excuse me, understand how to handle opinions. We're not strong when we're coming out of rehab recovery. In fact, we weren't strong while we were addicts. Well, coming into sobriety, we start rebuilding that strength, not physically, but internally as well. But most of it, what's going to hit you hard is people's opinions because they're pissed and they're upset. And, so they're going to, their feelings and their emotions are going to go into full throttle and they're going to be opinionated. A lot of them are. And a lot of it, what's messed up is a lot of us who, again, this is not just for first responders, but this is for everybody. A lot of us first responders are also recovering addicts and alcoholics, and we are still employed. Yes, we are still employed by our respectful departments: law enforcement, corrections, fire, hell, some in the military actually. You know, and we run into a lot of opinions, more so than anybody in our field of profession. So for anybody who's not a first responder, you could take this and you could run with it and you could apply it to your everyday life because it's not the job title that this is pertaining to. It is you as a person. It's just on our respectful profession, there's a lot of opinionated people. And this is going to give you the tools to combat them because a lot of times first responders, we get a certain amount of strikes, opportunities to sober up, stick with the program, and keep on it. You're only allowed a certain amount of times to screw up until you're fired from your job. So, that hopefully by the end of this, some first responders out there could pull from this and not relapse and not put their job on thin line. So, this is for everybody, but mainly today would be for first responders. We get a lot of negative feedback on the job. A lot of opinionated people, whether they are members or they are officers. Opinions are exactly what they are. They're negative, they're other people's perspectives, as I just told you, and they can be intimidating, especially coming out of a rehab center, recovery, going back into your job. You know, we feel people are thinking, we're going to go into when there's an opinion, people are going to say it. We are the target. And that is sad. We are a target now. People are expecting us to fail. And that's sort of screwed up. In my opinion, we feel that you're going to fail. So why are you even here? Why you even got this still? Very negative. So we're going to go with how to combat those. All right. We have to control what we can control. And some of the ways that we could combat them, you know, is basically opinions are not fact. They are not. Fact is, you know, my opinion is fact, but no, it's not. It's either an opinion or it's a fact. There's a difference. So when someone's reforming their opinions, we got to sit there, breathe, because we're going to get pissed, upset. You're going to get on guard. You're going to get defensive, and you're going to get really angry. So you got to step back. We always go talk about 4 count breathing. 4 seconds in, hold 4 seconds, 4 seconds out, hold 4 seconds. Do that until you start calming down. Remember, you have control over your emotions, your thoughts. Remember, you have to respond accordingly. And what's the difference? Not react. There's a thing on there. Train your mind to respond, not to react. So, response. Where did I put it at? All right. So basically, a response is something deeply thought out. You are controlling. You are analyzing. You are observing. You are gaining. You are coming in with fact and control and calmness, and that way you could respond accordingly. So that way, remember, they're attacking. We're not getting into what kind of biasness. This a lot of stuff ties into this, but they are opinion and they're attacking you as a person, which could be really, really destructive to you. So as we're coming in, you got to start taking time to breathe, focus. You know what's true and what's not true. You know what you did and what we all did is true. We are an alcoholic. We did this, we did that, we did that. So people opinions are also things thrown in your face, held over your head. And that's what's going to happen out there, whether you're on this job or respectful department or civilian. People's going to hold it over your head, especially on this job. And any member out there, state nationwide, will understand where I'm coming from. We see it all the time. Reaction is instinctual. There's no thought. It's none. And we have a tendency as people to naturally react over respond, which adds fuel to the fire. So you got to learn how to respond accordingly. And it is easier said than done. It takes time, it takes practice. You're going to fall. And the good thing is, as you're putting focus on that, um, no, as they're putting focus on that, of you controlling your mind and your emotions and all of that, it's actually giving you a sense of control, sense of rebuilding your confidence and your strength. And you're going to build a new tool how to overcome adversity. Remember, this is all around adversity. The people with opinions are creating that for you. They're trying to see how far they could push you and everything like that. And you got to rebuild your strength. We all do. I'm just saying you in general. Don't think I'm attacked. No, I'm just free flowing with it. You got to understand, when you control your mind and you control your emotions, you're gonna build a strength that you've never known before, that even being sober you'd ever thought you would have had. And it does work. And people don't like that, but this builds resilience and perseverance, and along that way of path, you're going to be becoming stronger. So your self concept is going to grow. You're going to go from thinking, oh man, I'm garbage, I'm this, to I'm getting, you know what? I am getting stronger. I am becoming a better person. Now your self concept is going to grow. Now your self esteem is going to grow. And now your self confidence is going to grow. It's a beautiful thing. All because you're able to combat this. Opinions, opinions are nothing, people. They're, like I said, you gotta let those roll off. Again, we choose how we perceive things, or opinions. You need dichotomy of control on how we feel and respond to them. You control that. Now, I said earlier we can't control what other people think. We can't. But if we feed into that, their opinions grow stronger. If we react, their opinions are like, ah, see, I told you so. We can change other people's opinions if we change ourselves on the inside, if we respond rather than react. Again, it starts with you. You're that center, the ripples are what you create them to be. If you stand your ground and you're cool, calm, and collective, and you're analyzing everything, and you're looking at it from remember, critical thinking goes into this as well. If you're sitting there and you're evaluating evidence and you're like, well, what's the evidence? You know, analyze the argument. You should sit back, like consult multiple perspectives to form a well responded conclusion. And you got and be objective. Remember, they're being subjective. Anybody forming an opinion is being subjective. You got to counteract that with being objective. Look from the outside in. So this is the base of an argument. Remember, they're trying to start an argument with you and trying to push your buttons and see what they could jab you with. And this is in life when they form opinions about us because they already have a negative view of us. They're an alcoholic, they have nothing going for them. Boom. Or they're a drug addict, they have nothing going for them. We hear that all the time. We know we have plenty for going for ourselves. We made a mistake and we gotta pick ourselves back up. And we gotta climb back out of that pit. And we gotta arm ourselves with new weapons, new tools. So society being society, not very many of them are going to look at us like, oh, you know what? They made a mistake. They dropped the ball. Let's give them the tools they need to pick it back up. Rehab centers arm us with that, but not too much. AA, they help a little bit, but you got to put the footwork in and read and do all that. The things we were talking about in group was how opinions could affect us if we let it. Our thoughts, if we let negative opinions affect our thoughts are going to affect our emotions. That whole the saying of you are what you think you are is true. If you let people say you are a loser, you have nothing going for you, and you let that simmer in, you start thinking, and you start thinking that, you're going to start feeling that, and you're going to become that, and that's how you're going to portray yourself. But if you sit there and you take a stand and you say, for example, that's your opinion, it holds nothing to me, it means nothing to me, because that is not true. And no matter what, they're just going to throw that in there. For example, fact, you were coming to work always drunk and drinking or high. And I went to rehab center and I'm going to meetings. I am doing what is possible to not fall back in there. Either you're going to be supportive of that or leave me alone. And that's how you have to approach it. So it's easier said than done because when people attack us by nature, we want to react and we want to feed their opinions even more. And then they're going to fire back with us, and then they're going to browbeat us. And it's a never ending cycle. You see it if you go to AA, listen to it. You'll hear it all the time. Or you could take a step back. You could apply both critical thinking and look at the argument and realize it's all their perspectives and their views and their feelings, and there's nothing factual about it. They're telling you something that you're already aware that we've already done. So there is nothing else to build on top of. It's just an opinion. Or you could look at it from stoicism. You can't control what they say or do, but you can control what you say or do. And try it out. Look at, and this goes into, like, when I came out of rehab, I went into, I think about premeditatio maleform or something like that. I can't remember what it is. Uh, Basically, negative thinking drills. And in the military, we did a lot of not negative thinking, but pre-planning, which had negative. We have this training. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. But what if this fails? Well, this is how we have to react. We're going to have to do this or this. And you're mapping out. You're not dwelling on it. You're mapping it out. So if you look at it coming out of rehab, man, the people's going to already have an opinion formed of us. We know that. Chances are they're going to probably bring up all that I did. How am I going to be ready for that? And that's it. That goes into dichotomy and control. As you're putting yourself in your mind in that negative spot, that negative position where your mind is just throwing a ton of stuff at you, it's going to build you up to where you are going to get upset, you're going to get emotional, you're going to get mad, but it's also teaching you how to control that. It's going to teach you how to box breathe. It's going to say, well, if they do this, 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 I could respond accordingly with, you don't even have to make a list. You could say, you have not, your opinions have no effect over me. That's it. You don't have to never give an explanation as to, everybody knows why we're where we're at. So opinions can bring us down if we let them. And then, like I said, it could, and it's sad where a lot of other people rather listen to other people's opinions of us than directly come to us. And that could be off, that could destroy us too. That could affect our self-confidence if we, again, everybody, if we let it. So in a way, we're going over opinions and dichotomy of control because they go hand in hand. Respond and reaction. Response is going to build is going to build a positive reaction, or a positive, yeah, we'll say positive reaction in the other people or the surrounding people. So if you're getting, say, in front of your chain of command or whatever, you're an army, first responders, we have that, or your boss if you're civilian world, and say your supervisor is on you and you respond accordingly, the third party is what we'll call them. Usually the higher ups are going to have a different viewpoint. They're going to be like, they're not going, they're going to be blown away how you carried yourself. Now, if you react, I've been there. I'm going to be open with that. In the past, I was always quicker to react than to respond accordingly. And reaction just adds, like I said, adds fuel to the fire. It does not help the situation because now you end up getting an argument. It's not good. Um, you got to learn how to approach it with positive argumentative statements, facts. Look, what else is there? I did this and this when I was there, and I'm not doing that now. And that's how you got to come at it with positive responses. So you always have to put your mind to thinking. I believe your mind has to always be not operating, but ready. Educate your mind. Start training it. If you're fresh off the boat, as we would say in the military, coming into, your permanent party or whatever, if you're fresh off the boat, coming out of rehab centers, you're going to be a fish in fresh water. You're going to be in the shark's tank. And they said that you're in the rehab center, you're in a controlled environment. When you get back into the real world, again, it goes up to being accountable. If you come out and you're saying, "Hey, I accept who I am, and I'm accountable for all I've done," one, that's going to knock a lot of the opinions down because you're taking ownership. So they're really going to have to nitpick, and they're again, these are all emotional based. They're waiting to say something to you, whether it's at work or in your personal life. Opinions are opinions. It does not matter where. It's just sometimes pretty rough when you work as a first responder in the military, and now you got dozens of people with opinions. But again, you can't let that affect you. You can't. You shouldn't. You should be having that armor on that we talked about. And that armor is knowledge. That armor is understanding the basics, understanding what an opinion is, understanding what a compliment is, understanding what a response is, understanding what reaction is, understanding what you have control over, you know, and you have control over you. And once you start understanding those, that's a lot of tools in your toolbox just right there, and understanding how to approach an argument the right way. Because remember, people who have an opinion are looking for an argument, and they're looking to press and be the one that's right. Hence, opinionated. They want to be right no matter what. And people with opinions are going to try to beat you down. And that's not being, here's a psychology, that's not being alpha or a leader. That's just being a jerk off. You know, a good, somebody who wants to talk will never come with opinions. You'll put your opinions aside. And I'm going to be honest, on your side, a lot of reactions lead to opinions. So if you give a reaction, your reaction is going to be based off of your emotions and the same thing. So you're really hitting the brick wall with each other. But you're also coming with fire with fire. What puts out fire? Water. Your water to put out those opinions is going to be you analyzing the argument, you looking at the root cause. Now, maybe they're, looking at, that's what we're saying. What is the form of an opinion that we said? Their feelings, their emotions, their response. So you might have to sit back, or not might, you will have to sit back and run those steps through your head. Analyze the arguments, evaluate evidence, look at this from multiple, perspectives, you know, and find what the root cause is. If the root cause was this, which we all know, if we're an alcoholic or an addict and we screw up, the root cause is that. So, and we own it. I remember growing up, honesty is the policy. Lying will get you killed, get you in trouble. If you're honest about, hey, I am a recovering alcoholic, I'll always be an alcoholic, but I am in rehab, I am going to my meetings, there's no more base for an argument. All they're going to pull over is stuff to, like I said, hold over your head. There you go. You sat back. And now the opinions are not going to bother you because you own it. And the more you take a stand for yourself with this stuff, with this material, and getting your head in the books, and I always recommend books or different YouTube clips that are out there. You're going to start arming yourself and you're going to start thinking. Remember, we did so much damage to our body and our brain. We have to recover. So if you got a fresh start, as we like to say, coming out of rehab, you got a fresh start. Your abstinence. Now it's time to be sober. Approach that sobriety going after new information and new knowledge. Because again, not a lot of people will ever understand or want to understand us. But that gives you a chance to prove that, hey, I'm not that person. Keep your opinions to yourself. And if they say something, don't even react. They ain't nothing. Blow them off. They can't hurt because, again, opinions hurt. They can't make you angry. But again, it goes back to how you respond to that. If you want to react and throw fuel on the fire, sometimes it happens. Sometimes our emotions happen so quick, because we're working on ourselves. We have to step back and breathe, you know. But while you're at home, or you're in the rehab center, or you're recovering at home, or you're whatever you're doing, start thinking about negative training, putting yourself into those situations in your mind. Will those situations ever happen? No, but the emotions are going to be the same. You're going to get angry, you're going to get upset, and you're going to figure out an answer. And I find personally, breaking it down into that combats opinions and negates them. It pushes them out. It smashes them. And that's what your goal is to do, to have tools in your toolbox, to combat people's opinions. And like I said, first responders, man, whether you're a fireman, a cop, or a soldier, or corrections, or an EMT, there's like thousands of people just who have opinions about us, who don't even know us, because word spreads fast. If you're in your workplace as a civilian, chances are it's a handful. If you're not and you're at home, you may have a few, or maybe not at all. So remember, if they're not giving you positive compliments, or reinforcements, or helping you, because remember, a positive compliment could go a long ways. A simple "keep it up, man," that's positive. And that does, and the compliment comes from the heart. It isn't, it's 100% sincere. So anybody who says, "Hey, keep it up, you're doing great, man," eat that. Don't eat the opinions. Don't take them to heart, because they are nothing. And that's how you got to look at it from life. An opinion is nothing. It gets you nowhere, but brings you down. The only way, yeah, okay, let me step back. Only place it'll get you is further down. It ain't gonna bring you up. Now, compliment, think of that. The compliment will bring you up. An opinion will bring you down if you let it. That's why I hate the word negative feedback. It's the most stupidest thing ever. I hate that. It's, hey guys, this is training. This is what went wrong. This is what needs to improve. It just sounds better when you start. You want to find ways to make yourself stronger. Positive reinforcement with yourself. That's what goes into great gratitude, gratuity. Writing a journal of gratitude. You wake up in the morning, write 3 things. No matter what, I'm grateful for this cup of coffee. Boom, that's arming you right there. It's a good feeling. I'm grateful for my family. Boom, that's a good feeling. I'm grateful just to be awake and enjoy the sun. Boom. At the end of the day, that arms us, because now those 3 things are building positive reinforcement in us and bringing us calmness. And it's going to help you fight opinions at the end of the day. 3 things you're grateful for at the end of the day. Boom, going to bed on a high note. You know, we let people get to us and get to us, and when they see a chink in the armor or a crack in the foundation, they're gonna expose it. They're gonna get in there. There's some people out there who like that, you know, especially if you're a good person who fell. And a lot of us out there were good people, just made bad mistakes. And that's how you got to view at it. Going into there, knowing, yeah, I made a mistake. That's how you got to view it. I made a mistake. You're not being nonchalant, but you're gonna be honest with yourself. I made a mistake. How can I fix it? You got to fix yourself first, and then that way you come back stronger. And like I said, opinions are a waste of time, man. And this society is so opinionated. They don't understand the difference between a compliment and what an opinion is. They don't understand what a response or a reaction is. They don't understand what actual criticism is versus an opinion. And this is why it's important, as you're coming out of recovery, to reach out to people who understand that, who have the tools, who are willing to go above and beyond to get more tools. And this is what rehab and recovery is about, is being sober, is having more tools in your toolbox to pass on to other people. And a lot of times we have our head in the book with the big book, and that's fine. Admire that. Go above and beyond. Find more tools. Remember, there's a lot more tools out there that do work. Again, I love critical thinking. Critical thinking helps tremendously. It puts you, again, the word thinking. That's what we got to do. We got to think before we react. We're not primitive where we react. Reaction is instinct. It is a primitive natural instinct. Well, reaction got us where we're at. It got us in rehab. It got us in trouble because we run into a tough time at work. Rather than respond and think and get the help we need, we react by going and stuffing our hole at the bottle or doing whatever your poison is. So we know reacting don't work. Crap. It doesn't. We got to respond accordingly. So we got to reprogram our mind and we got to think accordingly. We cannot be ruled by our emotions. We control our emotions. We're aware of our emotions, but emotions lead to reaction. Thinking a thought leads to responding the proper way. And opinions are those jabs, those little jabs, not that power shot, those little sneaky jabs that are irritating you. And how you handle that is going to be up to you. You're going to sit there and eat it, or you're going to sit there and move around and evade it and figure out a strategy how to counter it. Sit back. You got to look at it as a fight. Life is a fight in a way, but how you take it on and how you respond accordingly and look and observe is going to give you the edge and the tools you need to overcome in a good manner. And just remember, we are human. We do make mistakes. Sometimes we react, and then we got to think about it. Now, if you do react, think about what happened. Learn from it. Write it down in your journal. That way you can look at it, and then you can learn from it, and you can figure out how can that fix that so it does not happen again. Remember, people with opinions are going to go after the same thing. If they see that they get to you, if they see that they got you, or they're getting into your head, they're going to keep attacking that same thing because they know they got you. So what that means is you got to step back, respond accordingly, think, get stronger. So when they attack that same spot again, they see that they can't. They're going to retaliate. You're cocky, you're arrogant. They're going to come at you all kinds of negative ways. It's what you identify as a bully, if you want to be technical. But the more resilient you become and you persevere, the more you're going to be able to combat opinions. And sooner or later, people's going to leave you alone. You're going to become immovable. Yeah, we go back home, we're angry, hit the heavy bag, do something. But a lot of times, if you develop that resiliency and you think, is this worth my energy? It's going to help you cool it down. But you got these, so, the tools I want you to walk away with today is opinions are nothing. They are literally nothing. They are people's emotions and it's subjective. And they're just gonna come at you. All right. Opinions are nothing. You got to control yourself. You have control over how you react. If you take a step back, like I said, and you breathe, or some psychologists would say pause, take a rest pause. But if you 4 count breathe, take a minute, you're going to calm down and you're going to think clearer. You're going to control that. And that's response. What you don't want to do is react. Do not react if you run into people who are very opinionated of you. Again, We are we are children coming back into the world. If you look at it, we are handling situations without alcohol or any other substance in our body. We are approaching it with a clear mind, which we're going to be taking on or feeling and seeing in a lot of emotions that we used to numb with alcohol or drugs. Now we got to hit the books harder. We got to take the time to read and understand ourselves and think and become self-aware. Once we do that, we have control. It takes time, it takes effort. But if we come out of here and ready to go, hey, I got a new set of tools. I'm going to research. You're going to read. A lot of us addicts or alcoholics, if you look, a lot of them have libraries, and a lot of them are very, very wise. If you listen to them, if you go to meetings and you just listen to how some people talk, yeah, they got the idea. They're going above and beyond, and go learn from them. Some of your greatest stoics in the world were out were drinkers until they got clean. You know, they're out there, but you got to understand. I'm gonna hit this on the head. I'm always saying you have to understand that opinions are out there, and opinions are hurtful, and opinions are designed to tear you down. You will run into them. If you are coming out of a rehab, you will run into them. And if you've been out of rehab and we don't know how to handle those, these are the tools, some of them that's going to help you so you don't relapse. We have control over that. And we want to sit there, and here's your homework. I want everybody to, before we go further into this, I want everybody to Google self concept and think about, what is my self concept? Do I have self confidence? Do I have self esteem? And be honest with yourself. There's nothing wrong with it. And then the fourth question, how can I build each of those? How can I change my thought about me? Easy, change your thought. Start thinking positive. That's why you have that journal. That's why you're having these. These will build positive reinforcement and build your structure back up. Because opinions are the first thing we run into. You're going to fall off. That's my opinion. Listen to everybody. That's my opinion of this person. That's my opinion of you. Well, then you really don't know me. Well, you did this. That was not me. And that's how you have to stay. Don't turn into an argument. Turn into factual and sometimes silence. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. It's wrong. Or don't respond at all. Just look at them. Your response has to go accordingly with you. Some people, they don't say nothing. Some people, if that is your opinion, that is your opinion. I cannot change that. And they walk away. And a lot of times people's ego, talked, but deep inside, they don't know you. They think they do, but they don't. That's what you got to realize too in your mind. They know the old you. So yes, going into the other side, we can, we cannot change, or we are not in control of other people's thoughts or emotions or views of us. But our actions and how we carry ourselves with the new us can slowly change how people see us and view us. If we remember, we screwed up, we dropped the ball, we got to work on changing that. And a lot of people's negative opinions, if we're a recovering alcoholic, here's a shocker, we were that person that was drinking and drugging and partying and doing dumb stuff, formed those negative opinions, which they see us as. So in a way, our actions develop that opinion. So for who you can't hold it, I don't hold it against people who think of me in a certain way, because I did that. So it's now our responsibility to accept and then take accountable for what we've done. Or if you want to throw and acknowledge what we did and take it as accountable, that's the first step. And we got to sit there and put forth the effort to not be cocky or ego or arrogant, but to be calm and humble. Hey, I did that, but I'm going to show myself that, that I'm not that person, which is going to reflect over to the ripple effect. So we had to sit there and fix ourselves so that way those people with the negative stuff, the negative views and negative opinions of us could change their views and say, you know what? He is making the effort. He is changing, or she. That is not the person that I once knew. And that's where the positive compliments are eventually going to come into play. You're doing it, man. And that's good enough right there. Keep it up. I'm happy. I'm impressed. Wow. Just a wow. Because sometimes it is a good thing. So, again, we have control of how we are, which affects the outward effect. So, remember, opinions are there, but we have the power to change ourselves, which will change other people's views and opinions of us. Because that's all an opinion is a view, personal. But we have the power to change ourselves. Think of that. We have the power. Your first step was recognizing you have a problem. Second step is you got help. Third step, you're going to your meetings. Fourth step is now to stay sober and abstinent from alcohol or drugs. Once you do that and you start walking that walk, it's going to see, people's going to take notice. And it may take a while, but why put a time on it? So those opinions that you are responding to, that people have of you, is going to change from negative, because everybody, whether it's going to have opinions, they're going to go away, and they're going to be compliments. Man, this guy's, you know, he's a good guy, or a good girl. They're doing it, and they're not going to say, in my opinion. It's going to go to compliment. This guy's a good guy. You'll see. So opinions, let them go. Don't worry about them. If you run into opinions, your goal should be to respond accordingly. Look at the root cause. That goes way back. That's deeper. Remember, roots, deeper. What caused this? That's how you got to look at it. Not get all fired up. Your response is to break all that down. Look at the root cause. What was the root of this? And ask. Well, we have an opinion here, but what is the cause of it? What's the root of this? Talk to me. Figure this out so I'm aware. And just that word there will set everything in a different motion. All right, now I could fix this so we don't have to worry about this again. And that's how you handle that situation. Not an argument, not reaction, positive responses. You are owning it while you are saying, hey, tell me. Okay, well, I own that. Now I can fix that. Boom. Opinions are gone. All they're going to say is, well, we shall see. That's a lot of we'll see if you're going to change it. Because again, they're still angry. They're still going to have an opinion. But now oh man, he owns it. Let's see if he owns it. And when you start making those changes, that's gone. They're not nothing negative to say. They're always going to have something to nitpick at you about. But those opinions and nitpickings are going to go away until they're gone. But again, we caused. And the reality is, we may want to ask what the root cause is. And if it has to deal with stuff we did while we were drinking and drugging, we already know the root cause. Root cause was our stuff. What we did, what we said, how we acted. Now we got to fix the root cause, which is us. So now you know the answer. You're just letting them get it out so that way they feel better and they feel heard. And now it's going from a chest poking contest to an actual conversation. And that's your goal with this here, is to get the opinions out of the way, negate them so there's no consistent reactions to a positive response, to a positive conversation, and now things are getting done. And that is our goal. Remember, we had to own what we did. We're the ones that drank, we're the ones that drugged, we're the ones that made those mistakes and those choices, and it had an adverse effect on the people we love or work with. And now we have to fix that. But what we have to do is the first steps is accept and become accountable. If you want to throw and acknowledge, that's fine. Accept, acknowledge, and be accountable. However you view it has to work for you. But these are the first things. People have opinions, let them go. If you want to discover what the cause of that opinion is, sit back, ask, what's the cause of this? Actually, what is the root cause of this? Talk to me. Boom. They're going to calm down. You're going to be calm. Now you get accomplished more while having a healthy conversation than arguing. And opinions lead to arguments. And when you have arguments, nothing gets done. Conversations will always resolve issues. And that's what an opinion is. They have an issue with you, they have a problem with you. They're just don't know how to, they are reacting to their emotions. To negate that, respond accordingly to yourself. When you respond to yourself, you can respond to the situation in a positive manner. Opinion's gone. And that's your goal. To combat the opinions, you got to use this. And that's the problem. A lot of us who are we drinkers and partied and did all that dumb stuff, we are so used to impulses and reactions, we have a hard time responding accordingly. Well, here's a new homework for you. Learn to respond accordingly. It takes time, but everybody can do it. So that's me right there. Went a little bit over. I'm sorry for that, but I'm hoping that hoping that this little thing right here will help you guys out. Apply it. That's all I gotta say is apply. When you apply it, however format you're gonna apply it in, it starts with you having the ability to control your emotions. Your emotions do not control you. Oh yeah, it was very Star Wars-ish, but George Lucas had a good idea when he wrote that in there. You control your emotions. You have to be responsive, not reactive. So you guys have a wonderful night. And if you're on the West Coast, have a wonderful afternoon. It's beautiful out. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Take care.